because you can share it.
Mhm.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Thought Leader Circle show. And we have been doing this for the past several weeks and bringing you our featured speakers for the IQONIK Talks Virtual Leadership Conference. Now, I cannot believe, Lynn George, that it is next week. Like, this is going to be next Tuesday. We are kicking off this conference. So, for those of you who have not purchased your ticket yet, I don't know what you're waiting for, but here's your opportunity. Go to iconictalks.com, and I'm going to drop it in the chat, but iconictalks.com to get your ticket. And it's if you're just listening and not watching us, it's IQONIK Talks.com. So who am I? I am Kelly Charles Collins. I am the founder and CEO of HR Legally Speaking and Speaker Moguls. And Speaker Moguls is actually the producer and host of this amazing conference. And we are really, really excited. So my background is that I'm an employment lawyer, employment trial law attorney. I don't practice anymore. But I do leverage all of what I learned as an attorney to help to work with speakers like Lynn, an amazing, who I call brilliant women to really clarify their unique genius. Because what I know about the women that are attracted to me as a mentor is that they're brilliant. They're genius in what they know. And it's not about trying to make them into somebody or trying to help them figure out what their expertise is. They already have that, right? So it's just really about helping them to clarify what their unique genius is, connect it to their why, or some of you might call it your purpose, right? Really connect it, and then be able to position and package that so that you create a product that is sellable to corporations, to conferences, to your clients, if you're a coach or as a consultant, right? So it's really about taking all of what you know, all of that brilliance, all of that expertise, and putting it together and packaging it so that you show up powerfully and as a thought leader. And so on March 26th, you're going to get the experience of a lifetime when you meet Lynn and the 6 other amazing women thought leaders who are going to be redefining leadership. And what I love about this conference is that we are looking at leadership from so many different facets. And so Lynn will be talking today about personal branding, but we're also going to be talking about corporate culture, succession planning, authenticity, systems bias. That's a really good one and different. What else are we going to talk about? Women's empowerment. What else? What else do we have on the list? Corporate culture. So it's a really well-rounded conference, and the talks are 20 minutes, power-packed, 20-minute talk. So get your ticket, www.iconictalks.com, IQONIK Talks.com. And if you're watching today, use the code LEADER, LEADER, all lowercase, for a special rate. All right, so that's what I have to say right now, but I want to introduce you to my special guest, my soror, my friend, client, and her name is Lynn George, but I'm going to have Lynn introduce herself to you, and then we're going to get chatting about what Lynn is going to bring to the table at IQONIK Talks. So Lynn, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kelly. Hey, everybody. My name is Lynn George. I'm a career and leadership coach, corporate trainer, and the CEO of Lynn George Consulting. I work with ambitious professionals that are mid-level managers to help them to get unstuck and craft an empowering and purposeful brand so that they can do the thing that they love, do the work that they love. So I am excited about being here tonight, and I'm excited about the conference. And yeah, Kelly, let's get into it.
Okay, so you heard Lynn say that she is a career coach and she works with these mid-level managers, really ambitious people. So what you hear is a theme, right? That we're all working with these really ambitious women, because what we know, where it's still in Women's History Month, it seems like we're not, because you don't hear a lot of stuff, but what we know is that women are really brilliant. Women have all these backgrounds. We're doctors, we're lawyers, we're HR professionals, right? And we often don't think of ourselves outside of the role, right? We don't think of ourselves as a brand. And Lynn, I'm all about branding. I love personal branding. Why is it important? So tell them, because this is what we're going to be talking about. Your talk is called Brand You. That's just part of the name of it. But first, let's talk about what is a personal brand.
That is a good question to start with, because I think there's so many thoughts out there about personal branding. And so I define personal branding simply as your unique story. And that story is grounded in a principle, uh, by life designed by you for you, and which is really my signature talk title. And that came from my own personal story in designing life, designing work, and to be something that is meaningful and purposeful for you. And so when I talk about personal branding, I'm really coming from a place that is about your unique story, that is a process. So let me step back for a minute. It's your unique story, and it involves a process that weaves into it your gifts, your passions, your strengths, your experiences, both personal and professional, because I truly believe that up until this point, nothing is wasted. And so when we talk about IQONIK Talks and being a leadership conference, right, I think about how our experiences inform our leadership. And so, personal branding, when we come from a place of purpose, then we begin to really craft a brand that is empowering and purposeful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for everyone who is joining us. If you have any questions or comments for us, for Lynn, please drop them in the chat. We are here to serve you. And, Lynn, I love when you talk about your personal brand and aligning it with your purpose. Because I think sometimes we think about our brand outside of ourselves. And I always think about branding from the inside out. Now, the other thing, though, I think that throws people off sometimes when we talk about personal branding is that they think about it just in terms of entrepreneurship, or that's what the companies do. Like the brands out there, celebrities have a brand, entrepreneurs have a brand, but we often don't think about branding in terms of like, I'm in a career, I'm in a corporate space, and having a personal brand. So talk a little bit about why in that space it is absolutely important as you're going through your career to develop your personal brand.
It is important. So let me start with a research that I found, and that is, it was a research that found that 52% of Americans find it challenging to secure a good job, or they feel that their choices for career advancement in the workplace are limited. And when I read that, I immediately thought, yes, I remember that place, right? And so the reason personal branding is important is because when we graduate college, we go about our careers from a traditional place, right? Like we're climbing the ladder. We graduate college, we get into our careers, and when we're looking to grow, we are looking at the next level up, rather than what is it that we want to do. And so what I learned in my own personal journey, as well as working with my clients, is it's really not about climbing a ladder. It's not about the next role, but it's about an experience. It's about what what is the work that you want to do? How is it that you want to work? So when the reason personal branding is important is for three reasons, I like to say. And that is, number one, it helps you to differentiate yourself from everybody else that's, doing the same thing as you. So when in a professional that's in the organization, what is the thing to think about is what is the value that you bring to the table, right? What is the value that you bring to the table? How do you differentiate yourself? And that all involves what I talked about earlier, your gifts, your passion, your natural talents, your strengths, your experiences, right? Those are all unique to you, and you bring them into the workplace to bring value or add value to your organization. The other reason is influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're putting on this wonderful leadership conference for women who are thought leaders. And so the professionals in the organization need to understand that after, and I'm saying this because I work with mid-career professionals, after having so much experience in years under your belt, now you get to a place you want to expand your influence. And the way that you do that, right, is to really get your expertise out there, get your knowledge out there, leverage these experiences so that you can do more, whether it's leading people, or doing something else, contributing to your industry, your thoughts, your wisdom to your industry, and making an impact that way. And then the third reason I like to say is really when we talk about life designed by you and for you, and how it connects to your personal branding, is the thought around that is, what is the impact that you want to make,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because personal branding isn't just about ourselves now, but it's how we consistently live that brand out. How do we consistently work? How do we show up in the workplace on a consistent basis? And that is the impact that, or the legacy, right, that you want to leave. And so, personal branding isn't about the now. It's about creating a lasting impact, and that's the legacy part of it, right? And so these are reasons that leaders want to create a personal brand, because to stand out, to expand your influence, and to leave and to make an impact that is lasting on your organization.
Yes, I love all of that. And somebody says, I'm going to put this up here. I'm not sure who it is, Facebook user, if you want to tell us your name. So it says, so branding is like creating signage that helps people find you for the journey you have chosen for yourself. Yeah, I love that.
I love
I
that.
love that. Right. And, because it goes back to what you were talking about when we say life designed by you for you. So many of us, if we think back, it's like, go to high school, graduate, go to college, get a good job,
Yeah,
then get married, then have the kids, right? Like the road, especially as I'm a Gen Xer, right? It was really mapped
yeah,
out for us. Hey, Iris, really mapped out for us. And so, I think it's so vitally important. And you talked about you working with mid-level managers, and also that, leaders are, the ones who want, they want to work on their branding. But I think also, Lynn, just in terms of, I think everybody in the corporate space, and especially, we have so many young people, right? We know that there are 5 generations in the workforce, and we know that millennials are going to be the highest percentage in a few years. And I think everyone who's coming into the workforce, no matter if you're starting out, you're restarting, it's so important for you to really develop your personal brand. And I always think about it sort of like, how do you're building your resume. So we're always thinking about building our resume instead of going, like getting this job or getting this skill. But what do you think about that? Do you think there is that kind of correlation between resume building and your personal brand?
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking one of the other reasons why personal branding is important is job pathing, right? Because when you talk about the traditional paths, like, going to school, getting a degree, and going from, one role to the next role, what have you, what personal branding does, it creates paths
Mm,
for us that we get to choose, right? That you get to decide what it is you want to do and how it is that you want to work. And so in the organization, what it looks like inside of an organization is really to begin to think about, well, what is it that lights you up? I remember in my last role, one of the things that my manager and I discussed was around, I love to speak. I'm a speaker. And so, how can we, and he was so supportive in that he asked, how can we weave that into
Mhm.
the role? And so when the opportunities came for me to speak on in our global aspect of our organization, I was the one being referred as a speaker. And so one of the things that personal branding does for us is really create opportunities for
Mhm.
us, because people now recognize, people have a perception of who you are, what you stand for, and what is the impact that you want to make. And so connect that to your resume, right? Um, it's creating, you are creating opportunities for yourself. You are attracting opportunities when you become intentional and strategic about how it is you want to show up in your career.
Yeah, I love this. I love it.
Yeah.
Because I do think it's so I do think it's so vitally important that we understand that. And to your point about saying to your manager, I love to speak. There's so many skills that we all have. We have skills from the time that we were younger and we love doing those things. And now we have this job, right? And the job is like in the four corners of this document. And so we just go to work and we do what's there, as opposed to saying, what I would really like to do, or what I am really good at. Or did you know that I'm able to do such and such? And all of that is part of the personal branding, right? All of that is part of the differentiation. And when I think about, IQONIK Talks, and I think about you all as speakers and, showing up in this space, and part of that is, us really leveraging and using our voices, right? And really amplifying your voices. And so for me, IQONIK Talks is a way for me to amplify, elevate, affirm your voices, because I know that what you are going to be speaking about is going to be impactful, right? It is going to transform people. It is going to shift people's perspectives. And, some people might think, well, they're only going to talk for 20 minutes. Listen, TED Talks are 8 minutes, 12 minutes. So you can imagine, like, there is a ton of information that they are going to be providing to you. And what I want you to understand about what Lynn is going to be speaking about and what the other women are going to speak about is, they're not just going to give you fluff, right? They're not just going to give you information. They're not going to give you things that you can Google. They're not going to give you things that ChatGPT gave to them. These are things that are from their soul, right? That are rooted in their expertise and their why. And so when they think about, like, what is the impact that they want to create for the people who they want to create it for, they have developed their talks in that type of framework, right? In that context. And so, I'm really excited for everyone to meet you all and to see you and to hear you, because I think we don't sometimes we go to these conferences and it's like the same old, right?
Yeah.
Same old
Yeah.
information. So what can they expect, Lynn, from you and from everybody else? What can they expect, and why should they jump right now to get their tickets? I mean, it's virtual. They don't need airfare, hotel, transportation. They need nothing, just a computer or a phone. So why should they come?
Well, first of all, there are seven brilliant women, amazing speakers that has poured into this conference, making sure that we are bringing the audience value packed information, right? The other reason is, I love how this, as a leadership conference, this isn't about just titles, having a title, right? You don't have to have a title. We are coming from the perspective that everyone is a leader. You just need to uncover what that leadership is for
Yeah.
you, right? And so It's unlike any other leadership conference that you've ever been to. You get to hear real stories, but these stories are rooted and embedded with thought leadership that you've never heard, personal branding, leadership in HR. I mean, all kinds of leadership topics that we get to share. And so, IQONIK Talks, you need to just get your ticket.
Right, get your ticket. It's really, and sometimes I think about, wow, um like billing this as a leadership conference, like, did we do a disservice in some way to bill it that way? Because people are like, well, I'm not an HR, right? I'm not an HR professional. But when you think about leadership, we're entrepreneurs. Leadership applies to us too. Personal branding applies to us. Corporate culture, because when you start to hire people, that applies to us. Succession planning, right? We don't always want to work in our company. We don't always want to be the CEO in our company. So what are we doing in order to make sure that we have successors, that we are building our businesses in order for there to be that type of, I can sit over here on the beach and the company runs, right? A team managed company. And so all of the things that we're talking about apply, whether you are an HR professional, whether you are in the C-suite, right? There, the systems bias talk is definitely for high-level executives and C-suite, but also for mid-level managers and staff, right? To understand what's happening in your systems. Personal branding applies to every single person who's there. Authenticity and providing a psychologically safe workplace. We know that is absolutely paramount after what we have been through and what we're going through. People want to feel safe. Thinking about, Venice going to be talking about being bold, big, and bad. Yeah, we got to show up. Like, we have got to start to show up for ourselves. We're often thinking about, what other people are doing to us and why we can't do because somebody said and somebody did and the man holding you back and all the things, right? Listen, we understand that there are systemic issues. Nobody's saying that there aren't. However, we have to also be personally responsible, right? So we know that the mission of Speaker Moguls and what we do inside of Thought Leader Circle is to ensure that women's value is not erased. But I also talk about making sure that we're not complicit in our own erasure. And so, talking about like this leadership conference and investing in yourself, because sometimes we don't want to invest in ourselves. If you're certified HRCI or SHRM, you get 2.25 credits. But talk about that, Lynn, in terms of like just investing in your own leadership development, even if, because I know that, like when I was a lawyer, when I was practicing law, I'm still a lawyer, but when I was practicing law, my firm would pay for, me to go to conferences. So even if you're in that space where you're like, well, my organization usually pays, talk about why it's important for us as individuals to invest in our own personal and professional development, even if the organization is not going to do it.
To me, that's a jam-packed question because there's so many things I want to say to that. So many, but we don't have time. So to your point where, if you are saying, my company doesn't pay for it, won't pay for it, listen, because I believe that we are all leaders as professionals, we must first lead ourselves first, right? Mm-hmm. You being a leader you need to understand that investing in you is not just about the now, but it's about how the impact that you want to make in the world, right? And so that is one of the reasons to invest in this. That is one of the reasons to attend IQONIK Talks, irregardless of your organization wanting to, pay for it. Mm-hmm. It is really up to you now to not just wait to be tapped on the shoulder to say, hey, you need to take this opportunity, but be the leader. And I see that this is an opportunity for you to take and buy your ticket.
Yeah. And Listen, we are making it so easy for you, right? So if you're thinking, I don't know, what's the cost of it? What's the investment? So it is an investment, not a cost. But if you use code LEADER, LEADER, no S on the end, just LEADER in all lowercase. When I tell you, when you see the price that you're going to get it for, you're going to be blown away. And if you don't think that that's enough of an investment for you, right? For you to jump in and really just come in and learn and see. You're going to be educated. You're going to be entertained. You're going to be empowered. Like, this is going to be a soul-filling experience where you actually get to interact with us. We're going to be asking you about your aha moments and your takeaways. So you will get to engage. So you're not just going to be watching and have information just shoved down your throat. You are going to get moments where you get to breathe, like they say, woosah, and reflect. Right? Because we think it's really important for you to reflect on what it is that you're learning, so that when you leave, you will be able to implement. And that's the other thing, is that every single speaker is going to give you actionable insights and practical tools that you can use immediately. Right. And there'll be opportunities to work with them beyond that if you want to do that too. But you will leave with the ability to implement what you are learning that day. So, Lynn, give them the website one more time, encourage them to come, and then we are going to be out of here.
Type in, what is it? IQONIKTalks.com. That is the website to go to get your tickets. We want to see your face in the place.
Absolutely. You can't say and complain about what you don't have, what you didn't get, what you didn't learn, who you didn't get to connect with, when you don't make the effort to be in the room. When you invest in yourself, whether it's time, money, effort, when you invest to be in the room and show up for yourself, then other people will find it in their hearts and their souls to show up for you. Nobody's dragging you anywhere, and nobody's just going to show up to help you. You have to show up to help yourself. And in those spaces, you never know who you're going to meet. We're going to have a networking lunch. So you'll be able to connect with the other attendees there. So yeah, go to IQONIKTalks.com, IQONIK Talks.com. Use code LEADER, all lowercase, for your special rate. And we will see you on Tuesday, March 26th. Doors open at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we kick off at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's virtual, so you don't need an airfare. You don't need a hotel. You don't need Uber, Lyft, or any of the things. You just need your laptop or your phone or your iPad. Just come hang out with us for the day, and it's going to be amazing. Actually, it's going to be iconic. So thanks, Lynn. Thanks for being here. And thanks, everybody. We are so excited as we round the corner. So we will see you next week at IQONIK Talks. Take care.